So welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we have Caroline Monk from Menzies.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming up. Tell us what you do.
What do I do? There's a question. What do I do? What am I meant to be doing, or what do I really do? I'm a partner in a firm called Menzies.
Yeah.
That might be a new name to people around Manchester, because we were Beever and Struthers until the back end of last year.
Sure.
We merged with Menzies then.
Yeah.
Within Beever and Struthers, I was one of the exec team. I'm now one of the partner group within the wider Menzies firm. My day job is an audit partner.
Okay.
And my life is just managing people and projects and having fun.
Amazing. This industry that's going through a lot of change at the moment, isn't it? Really?
It is.
So you got change in the industry, change in the business.
Change in every which way. And that's great and exciting. But it is interesting because it's not an industry. You know, accountants are not best known for change and dynamism, if I put it out there. And so it is really interesting. There's a lot of disruption. There's a lot of challenge. I think you can either take a defensive view of that or take a more optimistic view. And I tend to be an optimistic person anyway. So I think it's an exciting time to be in the profession.
And so we're really talking about the impact of AI and things like that. So
we are, but I think it's more than that. I think that is an element of it. I think the disruption comes because, as in any sector, it builds up because you've got very big players, and as always happens when you have very big players in a sector, then people decide they can do things more nimbly, more agilely if they break away. So then you have a move, and certainly in the accounting sector we've got a huge spread, because you've got the big four, the KPMG. I shouldn't mention anything like that because I have to mention them all, but anyway, we know
it's okay, we know. I know.
And then you can have a one-man accounting service provider, and there's everywhere in between. So there's a huge volatility, a huge amount of options and different directions there. Technology is a huge part of it, and I think has been an enabler, really, because it enables the smaller firms, medium-sized firms, even firms our size, to compete more easily, more ably. But investment is the other big disruptor at the moment, because there's lots of investment with PE firms and consolidating going on.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Interesting.
Yes, interesting times.
Did you always want to be an accountant?
No, I've said this before. No, I think I suppose if I start out with the premise, I've never had a big life plan. I've never been that, which I know sounds counterintuitive to the job I do now. But I'm a sort of accidental accountant, and you can say that. So I did start. I started as a musician. I went through music college, and that was my thought process, but for different reasons, various reasons, all irrelevant now and pretty lost in the history of time anyway, decided that wasn't where I wanted to go. And again, just showing my age, at that time, recruitment was a thing called the milk round that they used to do. Only any people certain age will know, but yes, a milk round, and the big employers were lawyers and accounting firms. They were the ones who took on most graduates. And I did maths A-levels, so accounting seemed to be the one to go for. And I figured I'd do that and work out what I wanted to do next. Somehow I've just carried on. And mainly because everything, because my role and my job and my experience keeps evolving. So I haven't found the need to look elsewhere.
They say that music and maths work quite well together mentally.
There's something apparently about this sort of the science of physics, the patterns, recognizing patterns. I mean, the irony is actually, I don't think you need to be that good a mathematician to be an accountant. In fact, I don't think you really need to be at all. It depends what sort of accountant. Clearly, I am broad brushing there, but I think what you need to do is not be scared of numbers and to see anomalies and patterns rather than actually knowing what the answer is. It's more important to know that's not the answer than what the answer is. That makes sense.
I mean, I'd written down, what makes a good accountant. I don't know. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, my needs were I needed someone a bit proactive and highlight things that I might be doing wrong, or things I could be doing to help.
That's right. But proactive is a funny term, isn't it? Because I think if you looked at any accountant's website, they will always say they're proactive. I've never met an accountant yet who says I'm reactive. So actually, you've got to kind of drill into what does that really mean. What does that mean? And it is interesting thinking, what is it that the client wants, and what is it that I want for my team to be there? And jumping around, but we were talking before we started about the event was at last night, and that was really looking at coming out of a survey of business leaders, sort of what were on business leaders' radar and focus for the future. And this is a global survey, but it's all drilled into areas and jurisdictions. But what was coming clear from those companies who by various metrics are the higher performing companies, clear on high on their agenda was looking at client experience and collaboration with clients. I think that's a big focus for us. So actually, as accountants, we should be asking our clients, what is it that you want from us? What do you like that we do, and what could we do differently? That's part of what we should do.
I suppose there's an impression that accountancy firms can be quite cold, and we get them to do the tax returns and all that. And
I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes, isn't it, that I hope we dash. But there is a danger that a lot of our focus is on the past, whereas actually most businesses aren't interested in the past. You're interested in now. So there's that. And obviously, we're just talking loosely about accountants, but there's a whole range of what they do within that. And one small element is that compliance aspect. But clearly really important, but that compliance aspect. But that should be a given. Everyone should be doing the compliance for clients, and it's what else, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that support looking forward that's really important.
Yeah. Plans.
Yes. Well, but everyone. What is the who is it? My mind's gone blank. You'll have to fill in the name. But the quote about everyone's got a strategy until you get punched in the face. Mike Tyson. That's quite true.
Yeah, there's definitely a few punches in the face, and you run your own business.
And that was another thing that came out actually in the survey was talking about the difference between, is your strategy a sort of 3-year plan or 5-year plan or what have you, or is there a real time sort of continually evolving strategy, and how do you make sure you're not just reacting to events, but you're looking at trends? And I think that's quite a challenge for leaders now to try and navigate.
It's quite fast, but our business is all around me because it's constantly changing, and things we're trying to improve on, the factors affecting that are changing.
Yeah.
So you constantly, software world, you use Agile as being able to, you got your big goal of what you're trying to achieve, but actually each week, each month,
sprints, really.
You're constantly looking at what's happened and why. How did that react to the work we've done?
Yeah.
What does that mean? How do we do? How do you repeat that and do well again? Yes,
but trying to work out what is actual links and what is it's allowing enough time to make sure it's not a
just an anomaly out of that. It's fascinating. So what was the kind of was there a misconception you had when you went into it? It sounds like you just kind of went, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it well.
I don't overthink things. I don't really overthink things. So, I needed a job. It was quite simple. I needed a job. I needed to be paid. I keep alluding to it, but it was a time where professions were felt to be the right thing to do. And I didn't really know any. I'd not really had my eyes open. I think, maybe, I never say you regret, but actually, I think there's lots of things I could have really enjoyed doing, but that's where I ended up. But I immediately loved it. I think in part, no surprise, you'll get the idea. I like talking. I like meeting new people. And certainly when I started, the job was every 2 weeks going to a different company, embedding yourself in that company, meeting a whole group of people there, finding out how it worked, and the companies were all different. One of them was screen printing for ties and fabric. One made curtain rails. One, I'm just rattling off. So you go into a business knowing absolutely nothing, and coming out. I'm not saying you know everything, but knowing more than you did before, and seeing more in the process. And I just loved that. I loved talking to business owners. I still do. I loved going around factories. I still do, seeing the process. And that's why I kind of just carried on and enjoyed it.
Keeps variety.
Yes, it is. And it's curious. And, you talk about what you want from your accountant. What I want from my team is people who are curious.
Yeah. So, I know from chats in the past and things I've seen on LinkedIn that Beavers and Struthers were really big on the graduates and the team that you had there and the development of that.
Yeah.
Do you think as industry changes and technology evolves and things like that, is there graduates now, are they having to consider other things? Is there advice?
I mean, clearly, they should be, and they will be, I'm certain. Do I think that means you should consider a role other than accounting as your profession? Absolutely not. I've already said it's such an exciting time for it. I don't have regrets, but if I were 30 years younger, it'd be really exciting. And all I hope now at my stage is that I and my peers lead the industry in such a way that everyone else can take it forward. I think it's really exciting to be there. I think one of the things we've challenged ourselves with is what role technology can play in what we do, and how much that can free us up to do the things that the technology can't do. And that has to be, there's again, I won't be able to remember who wrote it, but there is this sort of idea and theory, it's been lots of people have spoken about us taking the robot out of the human, and I think that's really exciting. There are a lot of tasks that have to be done that don't require creativity, the imagination. So let's free our people from those tasks and allow them to do the bits that technology can't do.
Yeah. It's funny, I was thinking back to it, perhaps maybe it'd been a similar thought when it was, when spreadsheets came in and things like that, where calculations could be done instantly and things that would take days would take seconds or minutes. And you could then look at patterns and...
Absolutely. I mean, I think the pace of change is definitely different, and that's what exercises this debate about what does that mean for the future, I think, is because of the sheer pace of change.
Sure.
But change has always happened. And if I think back to when I was doing my audits as a trainee, it's nothing like the role that our trainees do now. I mean, most of the time was spent, techie for a minute, but most of the time was spent analysing what's called the suspense account, which is basically anything that the person didn't know where to put in the accounting system, they dumped in this bin because the accountant will sort it out here, and we spend days, weeks sorting that out. They don't exist anymore. That's one of my staff now, what a suspense account is. They wouldn't know. But that doesn't mean that audit doesn't take time anymore, but we're now doing different things, arguably better things, because we're not picking up the rudimentary. And it's the same. I can remember my grandfather was an actuary and an incredible mathematician. Sadly, I probably didn't realise quite how good he was until almost too late. But, he spent his life with slide rules and working out all those calculations. And I can remember when calculators first came in, and he sort of went away into his room and came out a couple of hours later. It's kind of saying, it's quite good, this. It's all right. Having clearly tried to find a calculation it couldn't do. But we still need actuaries, and we still don't really understand what they do because it's very complicated what they do. So, things evolve, but we're still needed.
So what in the industry at a senior level, what are the kind of main considerations for the future that obviously everyone's trying to work out, or how do we need to evolve to stay ahead of the game and relevant as a bigger
Relevant is
business?
really key to it, isn't it? It's how do we remain relevant for it? And I think I mean the key is always people and how we train, how we equip our people to do that, because they are the face of what we do. And we need that curiosity still needs to be present. We need people who can question, who can challenge. I think the skill set will change, because you don't necessarily need people who can produce the clever whizzy spreadsheets in the same way, because that will automatically happen. But you do need people to say exactly what you want going into it, and to challenge and question the assumptions, and that's really hard. Critical thinking, that was the phrase. That's what we need.
So obviously leadership's really important with that. We say this a lot with sales people, where the skills to be a good salesman are very different they might be quite selfish, but to be a sales manager is quite a selfless thing. The skills are very different.
Yes.
How do careers evolve in?
I think that's a really interesting concept, actually, that I've never really thought of, but it's bob on right, isn't it? That to be a successful salesman, you need a very different skill set to being a successful salesman manager, as it were.
Yeah.
But of course, the reality is most people progress up. They're the really good salesman, and then put into the manager, and then suddenly that's there. And to a certain extent, that's the same. That's the same in any sector, isn't it? I think I alluded at the start. Project management is the key. It's a key thing. But even project management in itself still sounds very, very cool and to do that. But actually, it's working out how to get the best out of your team. Recognizing that you don't get the best out of the team by telling them what the answers are, by providing the environment for them to give the answers, and recognizing who needs different support in different ways, and you can't treat everyone the same in that team. Sometimes not treating them the same might give different challenges, but actually it is right that people need to be treated equally, but that doesn't always equitably. That's the way, isn't it? But that doesn't always mean the same, does it?
No. We had Bryn Thompson on his sales training. He always asks the businesses he's in, how much time do you put into training the leadership on their skills, and or how important is that to your business?
It's
and then he goes like, how much time do you put into that? And they're like, well, that's a lot.
No, that's quite normal, isn't it? And I'm sure it's the same for us as there, but because there is a balance of. I mean, one of the challenges for us, I'm sure it's the same for you, is effectively as a service provider, a client says they want something now. You're cropping everything to do it now, but even though sometimes that's not the right thing to do necessarily. One partner before me who was very very wise in all sorts of ways. He used to always remind us that our biggest client was our firm, and to try and think like that. But it's not always easy to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially if your role is very dependent on people skills, skills, and how that.
And people are human, aren't they? You like to do things that you do well and are so valued and appreciated, and you've got a client who wants you to deliver something, and they're going to be really appreciative and really love it, and you'll do brilliantly, and you've got a really tricky internal thing, so you're going to give you grief. Well, but actually that's the key, isn't it? You've got to deal with that.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy who runs an agency, a much bigger agency than mine, and he's been in the game for 20 years and was talking about how there's a real thirst for humanity at the moment, because everything is all about technology and moving forward. And then in the real world, when you see a bit of humanity, it means a little bit more.
Of course it does.
And they're saying, well, that's also the case in online. And the more humans you can be and relate to, the bigger impact that has. And when we were talking about podcasts and try not to destroy, and how that's becoming more and more important because there's a humanity involved in it where it is a little bit more real, and you're not constrained by big TV companies and what you can and can't say, and people can be really honest and insightful about the world they're in. Yeah. And that hits better.
Well, it does. And I think, we touched on it before, again, when we were talking, wasn't it? It's about, it's an opportunity to show who you are, isn't it? And in the end, however you're projecting yourself, you've got to be authentic, and you've got to be you and be honest with yourself.
It's very true. You know, when it comes to change in an industry that's probably not known for it.
I love change.
How is that? How do you guys, you know, how do you cope with it? I'm struggling for a question.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, well, I suppose, you know, I'm glibly saying love change, and I think, you know, everyone's on a different place in that. But I am someone who does enjoy change. You know, I don't want to be repeatedly doing the same thing the same way. You know, one of our strap lines within Beever and Struthers, but it equates into the Menzies one. We had achieve better, and Menzies it's about brighter thinking, but they're very similar really in terms of trying to think, how can we do that differently? What what can we do differently? But you can only do that if you allow change. Yeah. But there does need to be a reason for change. Change for change's sake is pointless, isn't it? Yeah. And what you've got to remember is your reason for change being a good thing isn't necessarily replicated by everyone else. You do need to make sure that actually you're still pointing the same way as everyone else. And so our change is all going in the same way. It's all very cliche, but it's the old thing, isn't it? You've got to have your team with you. They might not necessarily quite know why we're heading off in that direction, but they've got to have a bit of an insight as to what that direction shows. And sure. You know, sorry, I'm waving my hands, I know. Yeah. But someone once drew a picture that, you know, it's all right to be walking up the hill in front of your team, but they've still got to see where they're going. So if you get to the top of the hill and you're going up the next hill before they've got there, that's no use. You've got to keep everyone with you as you're making that change.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah, it really worked for me. And also, again, it came up a lot in the conversations we had last night about admitting when it doesn't work and holding your hand up. Right, well, we changed that. We tried that. Didn't work. Stop that. Come back. Retrench. Work it out again. And I think sometimes people continue down a path with growing dissatisfaction around their team because they kind of feel that they can't move back from it. Yeah. But I think, you know, trying something and it not succeeding is not a failure.
Yeah. You see, I mean, is that hard to be aware of as in the senior leadership role, or what's going on?
Of course it is. Yeah. And there's lots of different ways to find out how you do it, and everyone has their own ways, you know. And even, you know, because I can look glibly at our work environment. We, you know, as with all 4 firms, we're working in a hybrid way now, and obviously we've got multi offices, so we're all in different offices when we are in the office, but they are all very open plan, and you can glibly say, well, you know, I'm sat surrounded by my team, so I can see and hear what's going on.
Sure.
And that's true to some extent, and quite often by doing that, you realise an issue that you'd never would not have thought of within the process. But you also got to be really conscious that people are very mindful that you're sat amongst them, and they're not going to say things that they don't think you want to hear. Yeah. Even though those are the exact things you do want to hear. So there is quite a thing there. I don't know how you solved that.
No,
it's just about being open and honest, I think, and trying to. I mean, there again, I'm going down all the cliches, isn't there? There's that concept of psychological safety, and making sure you've got an environment where people feel it's safe to call out and say that doesn't work. This isn't good. And I think, making sure we've got that sort of environment is really, really important. I hope we do, but for someone else to.
Well, it's the intent that's important, isn't it? Of
course it is, yeah.
When people see that the intent's right, then you get a lot more leeway and honesty.
And also being very open when you have made mistakes, holding your hand up before someone has to, we got that one wrong. We're really sorry. We've learned by it. And sorry, but also calling out when things have been done well. I think sometimes we forget to celebrate the success as well. So, making sure, and sometimes the most successful changes have almost happened such that people haven't realised until it's embedded. So make sure those are celebrated. Yeah,
sure. No, there's a balance with everything, isn't it? People have to know both ways, and it's how you do it as well, isn't it? That's important. Of course. Moving back to you for a little bit. So it's more challenging. Well, it has been more challenging for us to find female leaders on the podcast, and I wanted to kind of ask you a bit about the challenges around being senior leader, female, and balancing family as going through. And
I mean, it's hard in some ways because, of course, I can only, I've got nothing to compare it to, can I? I've only been me, so I can't say, that would have been easier if I'd been a man because I'm not. I can tell you. So it is hard. To know quite how to do that. I think I've been very fortunate. I don't think I've really faced any pushback or discrimination because of my gender, or else I've been oblivious to it, which is equally likely, or else I've just been a bit stubborn and said I don't. In my head, I don't care, I'm carrying on, so I don't know. And that doesn't, for 1 minute, belittle people who have faced terrible discrimination. But I've never had that. I know a partner in a firm I had a lot of time for. She was a senior partner in the firm when I was with Beever and Struthers. And the first time she went into a partners meeting, she was basically asked to make the tea. And at the end of the meeting, the then senior partner turned around to the rest of the partner and goes, "All right, I won't say the name. I allowed her to make the tea today, but that will never ever happen again." And I was quite shocked about that. I mean, we are talking a long time ago. So maybe I've been lucky. I think, the challenges of balancing life. Well, none of us have got that. None of us got that right. I might be an accidental accountant. I'm probably an accidental parent as well. I ended up with 3 somehow, and they're brilliant, despite my shortcomings at times. And I know that I've made choices sometimes, and I've been late to things or missed events along the way. I hope that when you balance a scorecard at the end, it looks like I got it right, and and that when I was needed, I was there. But again, a great bit of advice I was given right at the outset from someone was just try and be good enough. Don't aim for perfection because you'll never get that.
There's a lot of pressure on parents and mothers to do both these days.
Yeah, there is.
It's tricky.
It's immense. I mean, I certainly couldn't have achieved what I'd achieved had I not had the sort of support of Andrew, my husband, to do so, because it is a double act, really, and there's no way I could have achieved without his support in other ways, just to keep everything balanced and rolling. And I don't know, I think it would be interesting to see. I've got one daughter, two boys, but interesting to see what happens next. Will Lucy choose the same sort of route as I've done, or she say, "Oh no, that's not for me." Who knows? But that's a generational thing as well.
It's a funny subject. I was talking to a good friend recently, who's a partner where partner-in-law for, and she was saying that she gets invited to either play golf or to go for drinks. What was the other thing? And she said, I don't want to do any of them. And she said, I have to kind of make a choice about things, and I'm choosing this at the moment, but it might be hindering my networking and career because I'm not getting to know people as well.
Yeah, and that's really distressing, isn't it? I mean, I know very successful female leaders who made a thing of the tea time, bedtime routine sacrosanct, and they would never miss that. And they've been very successful with that. I think the golf, the evening networks, I think that's changing a bit. I don't know that anyone has time for golf in the way that used to be the way. If I go back again, my grandfather spent his whole life playing golf. Well, that doesn't happen now, does it? And yes, there are networking events, but as many of them are during the day, I think, as outside in the evenings.
Sure.
And I think you need, you are making balances, aren't they? You permanently, or you should, I think, right, what is my objective out of that? And kind of, does it deserve the compromise that requires there? And there are different ways to achieve those. So, sometimes you do need to miss the bedtime to go out, but not every time.
No. Sounds like you're very calm about everything.
Well, you'd have to ask Johnny that, not me. That's not for me to say.
I mean, it's a big thing, isn't it, in terms of career development, especially in kind of the more classical industries and how you go about it. One thing I thought about asking you was how the old style kind of business structure, is that going to change? Does it work anymore? Or?
I mean, our industry, clearly very conservative, and traditional. Was always a really big triangle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You bring in loads of graduates at the bottom, and as they promote up, they reduce in number as they go and find other ones, and then you end up with the carrot of the partner at the top, and if we're going down all the stereotypes, then you've got your great big office with your plaque on the door, and you're off playing golf all day and at events all night. Well, that's not there now at all. We don't have our own offices for a start, and that was we made that move maybe when we moved offices, so coming up to 3 years now, and that was one of the best things we ever did, was remove all partners' offices, so partners sit there. We still have a reporting line hierarchy because one of the important things in our role, it's as regulated industry, you do need governance and review and oversight all the way through that process. So that hierarchy is really important. But that doesn't mean that the person at the bottom can only speak to that person and speaks up and goes there. It's a far flatter, collaborative communication through it. And that's got to be better. And I think, sorry, I'm rambling on. No, you can edit away. But one of the things I found challenging, maybe 5 or so years ago, was as my children were starting to approach the age of the people we were starting to recruit. Because it's not that anything changed, but it just struck a chord with me, because you're starting to get that conflict of employer and parent and how that works. And I thought that was really, really interesting. I certainly think my kids probably suffered a bit when I was frustrated with them, mindset and behaviours at work. And I was like, oh, no way are you going to start work behaving like that and annoying boss. So it probably got a bit of that. But equally, it does help you kind of think things through. And yes, there is We are an employer, and they are employees, and we need them to perform roles for us. But equally, we're also custodians of this journey, and you know, I want to play a part in their development, even if they don't stay with us. Or, well, despite, you know, because most people won't. You know, I don't think many 20-year-olds today are going to work for the same company for the whole of their career, because their career is going to go on till their 70s, and so they're going to want to do lots of different things. We are celebrating next week the retirement of one of our colleagues who's been with us for 56 years, which I think is amazing. Yes. So that definitely deserves some celebration. But you know, that goes back to a different era altogether. I know.
Are they looking forward to retirement?
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, it's different for different people, isn't it? Some people
absolutely.
I quite like working.
Well, I think if you don't like it, it's really hard work, isn't it? Yeah, we've got into it.
With the new graduates, you know, is there any advice you would give them?
Any advice
into this world in industry?
Well, I've already said it before, but I'm known for it to be my favourite word. Just keep curious, keep questioning, keep being curious. I suppose it's almost a flip of me saying, you know, with that conflict, mum and employer, you know, kind of think through where your responsibilities lie and acting there. Being diligent and just being open and honest and not scared.
Well, so obviously there's a lot going on in industry and world at the moment. And where do you see the future of the accountancy world when you think about it? You know,
I mean, if we keep talking about accountancy world, and I appreciate there's such a spectrum there, isn't there? You know, there's and a whole lot comes outside different remits. You know, it's January, so it'd be remiss not to talk about tax returns. Because, you know, our whole team still trying to encourage clients to bring in their tax records. You know, before, and that's you know, and logically, you know, a tax return process could be far different, couldn't it, if we had a more digitally connected process? Would that mean that army of people won't be there doing those tax returns the same way? Yes, it will. But does it mean that they can be a role for a tax advisor? Absolutely, in terms of structuring how you want to work moving forward. I think I'm rambling a bit. What was the question again? What was the vision of the future? Yeah, I think regardless whether it's accounting, whether it's law, I was talking with a lawyer last night on this, whatever those professions are, the starting point might change, because rather than someone coming with a problem, they'll come with a problem and their thought as to what the answer is, because they'll get that from ChatGPT or something. but they still, if it's important, they will still want someone to confirm, to validate, to enhance, to better, or just to explain it and communicate it. So I think that's where the future comes. You know, so
you probably said that before about the actual nitty-gritty and stuff is the data entry or whatever is taken away from you.
That's
you
right.
Now do more.
Looking at it. But this is just part of evolution, isn't it? In a different context, I talk about it in terms of being old enough to remember when you were driving and you used to drive with your A to Z sort of balanced on your knee as you were driving, and you highlighted where you were going to work out where you're going. And
the list of
that's right. Turn right at the pub and turn left at the hedge and all the rest of it. And then this funny thing called Satnav came up, but it sent you all the wrong way, and you laughed at anyone who was using it because what a fool. And then you started to trust it more, but I was laughing about it because you still had an atlas in your car just in case, just in case something goes wrong. And now you change car, and then you don't take that into the next car. You completely plug in the Satnav off you go. But that's just the way of evolution, and so the way I talk about that in terms of trusting the process, because at the start we didn't trust the process because it wasn't always accurate, whereas now we do, because it's learned to be so, and that would be the way with a lot of what we do.
Yeah, that's sounds like a good place to end the conversation.
No worries.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, not at all. I can talk away. It's fine.
And giving us your time, and to the Royal Oak again.
Absolutely.
We're on tour.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. It's a pleasure. Thank you.